This is the defining trait of masculinity. So if we think about king, warrior, magician, lover, which are these four masculine archetypes that are present within the male psyche, the four predominant archetypes. Okay, we have the king, that is the role of fertility and blessing. We have the warrior, it's the one of discipline, of action, of courage. We have the lover, who is connected, who has emotional depth and vulnerability. And we have the magician, who's transformative and a lover of knowledge and ever curious. Okay, so if you think about that as a square, right, we have each of these archetypes in their own sort of domain. Now, in one sense, people say the king is the center of that, and while that can be true in one regard, I like to take this from the perspective of there actually being a fifth archetype, and this is the archetype with which I want to discuss with you today. Okay, I talk about it as the God archetype, the archetype of the self. So if you think about that square, king, warrior, magician, lover, and inside that square we have this circle, this one defining characteristic that is present in each of the divine expressions of the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. And so this is the defining characteristic for any man wanting to harness, wanting to refine, let's say, those archetypes, wanting to bring out the fullest, most divine expression of each of those archetypes. It is this self or God archetype that creates and permeates each of the other four. It's akin to the ether element, if you're familiar with Ayurveda and the 5 elements. You have earth, water, air, fire, and ether. Ether is akasha, or space, as is understood in the Vedics. So it's that in which all the other 4 elements, earth, water, air, fire, are contained. And it's the same way with these masculine archetypes of king, warrior, magician, lover. Okay, they are all contained within the self. And what is the energy or the characteristic of the self? What is this one defining trait that really allows your masculine expression to come through in its fullest, most harmonious, most energetic, fullest form? And the short answer, and this is the truth that sets you free, as Christ said, it's belief. The defining characteristic is belief in yourself. It is faith. Now let me elaborate on that a bit further. Faith is the defining characteristic that allows each of these other archetypes, whether it's taking more action, being more disciplined as a man, being more integral to your word, having a sense of honor, being more compassionate, more caring and more nurturing of your community, of your family. Whether it's using your knowledge for good, to teach, to inspire. It all comes back to centeredness within oneself. Finding that I amness within yourself. Okay, this is why it's called the God archetype, because God is I am. I am that I am. That's in the Old Testament. God said, I am that I am. That is God's name, I am. What does that mean? God is that energy. God is that ability to shape your consciousness based on how you identify with yourself in the world and what you believe to be true about the world, the perceptions you hold of the world, of yourself, of reality as a whole. And so that is the defining characteristic that shapes whether you can maintain discipline, you can persist in action despite what you may be feeling, how you can recognize what you feel and be still to that as well. Be still and know that I am God. That's another excerpt from the Bible, from the book of Psalms. Be still and know that I am God. So when you're in your turmoils of your life, whatever those may be, when you're coming up against resistance of any form, okay, you're in the chaos, can you be still? Breathe and sit with maybe some emotions that are swelling up inside you, to recognize them and accept that they're there, all the while knowing that they don't define who you are. You define who you are. You define who you are. And when you know that, then you can determine what you create more of in your life, what you create less of in your life. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It's from the book of Proverbs. As a man thinketh, by James Allen. That's a great read, and that is a great resource for this discussion as well. As a man thinketh. Your belief in yourself, your confidence, your with faithness, as I like to say, your confidence is the central component that brings all of these other elements of masculinity in their various expressions. Okay, of protecting what you believe to be right and noble and good, of seeking knowledge of self-transformation, of healing, becoming a healer, facilitating healing for others, for yourself. The ability to integrate vulnerability in your relationships, that they foster deeper, stronger connections. The ability to lead, to take on more responsibility, to take on the responsibility you've been abdicating for so long. You may have a few areas that come to mind when I say that. Okay, the means by which you start cultivating more of those in your life is through the belief, first and foremost, the faith that what you hold to be true in imagination and what you profess to be true about the world, how you perceive the world, that is the truth. That is the truth that will set you free. Okay, this is akin to frame, what you might hear in these circles of alpha masculinity, as your frame, becoming an alpha male. It's frame. Okay, it's a part of it. It's an integral component of it, because your frame is your perception. Okay, and as a man, when you can recognize that the frame by which you choose to view the world is that which shapes your world and everything in it, your finances, your relationships, your business, your health, your connection to God, to a higher power. All that comes from how you're framing things, which is just another way of saying what you believe. It's another word for belief. Belief is the element, the fifth element. Imagination is the fifth element. Because when you can harness the power of your mind, of your internal will, to recognize that you are the more confident, the more caring, the more compassionate, the composed, the resilient, the disciplined man you desire to be. You are that now. And you know how to get there. You know just how to get there, how to bring that to you, how to be that version of yourself now. You know what needs to shift, internal and external. And from that knowing, you actualize that change. From that faith is, in a sense, knowledge of the unseen reality, which is the true reality. And that is everything going on in here. So if you're a man listening to this, and you're wanting to become a better leader, you're wanting to take more responsibility in your life, you want to take hold of your finances, you want to get lean, you want to be strong in your body, you want to have those relationships you desire, you want to experience more intimacy, you want to foster deeper connections with others, lovers, family, friends, community, you want to build community. All of that begins and ends with what you believe to be true about yourself, what you believe to be true about life. Have faith. Have faith in God, in yourself. And that, I believe, is the defining characteristic of what makes an integrated masculine man. It's belief. It's the conviction of his belief. The conviction of his state of consciousness. Because, and this can be for another episode, the degree of conviction that you hold in what you believe to be true, in what you imagine to be true, the degree of conviction that you harbor, that determines, the degree and the rate at which it materializes around you. How strong are you in your word? How much can you hold true to it? And to be still, to be the rock amidst the winds and the weather and the elements around you that come up, that challenge you from your past. When the external world starts to bring up circumstances that may cause resistance, because we talked about this, the external world is simply reflecting back to you everything you've been up to this point and what you've identified and believed to be true up to this point. So when you make that change now and you hold conviction in it, there's going to be some resistance. Can you hold firm? Be steadfast in your truth. Have faith. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. You can say to the mountain, go there, and it shall move. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this empowered you. I hope you feel strong and you feel grounded and centered. I see that for you now, actually. I see that for you. And I feel that for you now. And that's another power that we hold, not just for ourselves, but for others as well, is believing into being the goodwill and the harmony and the love for others. That's prayer, in a sense. So I see that for you now. Feeling more composed, taking on more responsibility, more independence, more autonomy, being a stronger leader and a light for those around you. Because you recognize and you do the inner work yourself. And you are doing the inner work yourself. If you're here listening to this video right now, you are a seeker of truth and you are well on the path to cultivating, refining your power, actualizing what you really want in your life, and having that, everything that you want to have. Thank you, brother or sister, if you're here. Have a beautiful day. Until next time, take care. Let's rise.